Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 11 Pro and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro Max and see how these two phones basically compare and hold up in 2025. Now, the thing to remember here is that both of these phones, they're very interesting, right? Because they're both still supported with software, but they're getting a little old now, and there might be some other better types of devices to go and buy rather than these ones. So we'll take a look at it throughout this whole entire video, but if you do want to go ahead and pick up some devices that I personally would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular devices. The iPhone 11 Pro originally came out back in 2019, and this device is a very interesting type of phone because, as you can imagine, like I said before, it's a little bit of kind of it in its own league, so to speak. It was a very good, very capable flagship when it first came out, and on the front side, it's giving you this 5.8-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So when I take a look at a panel like this, I definitely do think, Apple did a really good job with the design language of this phone and just the way they made this phone look, perform, feel. Like, this is easily still a really good type of device, which I'm still a huge fan of. It does, give you a notch, so it's not really updated from that particular standpoint. On top of that, also another big kind of takeaway here, or big downfall, is that it is only like a 60 hertz screen. So it would have been a lot nicer had we gotten a little bit more capability maybe from that side. But again, it isn't the biggest deal in the world, but as always, it's going to be one of those things that either makes it for you or breaks it for you. But personally for me, I definitely prefer having something with a higher refresh rate, if I'm being honest. So from that side too, that is kind of one of those big things to keep in mind there. But to each their own. It just kind of depends on which way you kind of take a look at it. With the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this device is going to be giving you a slightly different type of experience. So with something like the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this device is essentially going to be giving you a much larger 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So that type of panel and that type of screen is definitely going to be a much bigger type of panel. And like I mentioned before, it's really just dependent on how you're going to take a look at it. Because you might be okay with getting a panel or a device that's going to be giving you a smaller size display, but you might also want a bigger sized phone like what you're getting inside of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So that right there is also going to be one of those things to keep in mind there. It's a bigger size panel, but it still is giving you the same brightness as the 11 Pro, and it still is only 60 hertz. So those types of things can be very big downsides, again, depending on who you are. But for me personally, when I take a look at this type of device, I think both these phones give you a good experience. But, I think the 11 Pro Max is bigger, and some people may prefer that. Now, they're both giving you lightning ports at the bottom. On the back side, they're giving you frosted glass backs, which for the most part still give you a good experience. I think if you're wanting a better type of device, there might be some better ones out there, but these two ones still feel very premium. They're also giving you a triple camera setup on the back side. And for the most part, when I look at these types of phones, you're still getting a very good and very capable type of machine. And I think that right there is a very big thing to keep in mind here, because you're going to be able to go through and pick up a phone like these ones and still get a very, very good feeling type of phone that still feels like a flagship. Like the difference between the iPhone 18 and the iPhone XS and this device is a really big difference. Like you're getting a much, much, much better, more capable type of phone from this one than something like an iPhone, XS. So these devices held up so much better. I'm a really big fan of these phones when it comes down to it. And I definitely do think from that particular side, these types of phones still feel like very, very premium phones. When it comes down to their camera setups, these phones are kind of the same for the most part. Like they're going to be giving you very similar types of experiences from that side. So there isn't really going to be like this big, like a make it or break it type of situation between these types of phones. So they're still going to be feeling like very fast, very capable devices. So it's not like these phones are really going to be missing out on anything from that side. So I feel like from that particular side too, that might be a big thing to keep in mind here, just because both these types of devices, they're more or less kind of the same type of situation. But again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like if you're going to go through and pick up these types of phones, you're actually still going to be able to get like a pretty fast and very, powerful type of phone. And that's something that I love seeing here. So again, if you're wanting a better type of device, they exist, but these cameras are still giving you 4K at 60 on the front and the back. They're still very good. They're still very capable. And like I said before, I think if you're in the market and you're going to go through and pick up a device, these cameras are still okay, but they're not really the best anymore, right? I don't even know if they were really good when they first came out, but these are just older types of phones now, right? So if you're getting these older types of phones, you're probably expecting to get a little bit of a better type of capability. And unfortunately, with these types of phones, they're just going to be giving you a slightly older type of experience. So it might not be the biggest deal to you, but it could be a slight annoyance, and that is going to be just one of those things to keep in mind there. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. Now, on top of that, I think another really big thing to keep in mind here as well is that when you do take a look at something like an iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, these types of devices, for the most part, their software is still supported. So these two phones are still supported with software. They're still going to be giving you some software updates here and there. And I do like seeing that, right? I like being able to go through and pick up these phones that are going to be giving you like software updates. But keep in mind as well, this is another big thing. If you're looking for a phone that's going to be giving you a slightly better type of experience here, again, it might make more sense to go through and maybe pick up something like an iPhone 12 or 13, because those phones have a way higher likelihood of giving you software support for a longer period of time. So if you are wanting the phone that is going to be giving you a longer software experience, you're probably going to have to look elsewhere. And I genuinely do think that is probably a better decision, right? Because the last thing you want to do is go through and buy a phone if it's already going to be outdated with software. And that is kind of what's going to end up happening, not in this case precisely, because you're still going to be getting software support, but it's just not going to be for as long as you probably would like for it to be supported with software. So again, it isn't like a deal breaker. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it could definitely be an annoying thing. So if you're wanting a device that is still supported with software for a longer period of time, you might have to look elsewhere in this particular situation. On top of that, another big important thing too is that when you do kind of take a look at these types of devices, you have to remember that with something like an iPhone, 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, they both are giving you the Apple A13 Bionic chip inside, and they're both giving you 4 gigabytes of RAM. So they're both giving you very similar types of experiences here from that particular standpoint. So that could be a nice thing, getting a phone like this that is going to be giving you some sort of capability like this, because these phones are still pretty fast for how old they are. Like, they feel like pretty capable, pretty fast types of devices. And I feel like if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, like, these ones still are surprisingly kind of decent. And when you factor in within iOS 26, it has kind of made these phones feel that much more faster. I feel like that right there is also another cool kind of thing here, but I don't necessarily know if that would be the reason why I would go and buy one of these devices for seeing how old and nice these phones are, because there's way better types of devices you can go and get your hands on rather than these ones as well. So to kind of sum up this whole entire comparison, what I probably will tell you is that in this day and age, I don't really know if it makes a lot of sense to go through and buy these types of devices. And I think there's probably way better types of phones to go ahead and buy rather than these ones, but they're not bad phones. Like, I still think there's still some capability here, but I also think that there's probably more options out there than you probably would imagine. There's phones like the iPhone 13 Pro that are really good phones. I think those ones are still really good for a long period of time. There's phones like the iPhone 14 Pro that are really solid. Even an iPhone 13, even an iPhone 12, I probably would recommend more so than these ones. But if you like feeling like an old flagship type of phone, if you're okay with that, then I think these ones might be okay for you, but I think there might be some better options as well. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, till then.